One more?
All right, fellas. And with the sound of this, the last song.
Damn, you
the
bought a bunch of
groove.
drinks.
This is my third drink.
Freedom. What kind
Yeah.
is that?
Is it freedom?
Yeah,
it's a
welcome
freedom
to
beer,
the
dude.
welcome to the
Let it ring,
podcast
dude.
Heart podcast.
There's plenty of
I Heart
Let
Podcast.
freedom ring with the Budweiser can.
Yeah, then it goes into Painted Heart. That'd be sick. Welcome to Podcast Heart, dude. I stole your fucking bit, man. You gonna fight me?
Painted
Podcast Kevin Hart.
Painted
Yeah, dude.
Podcast.
Thank you for coming to podcast Kevin Hart. Yeah,
Painted
steal my bit.
Heart's War, dude.
Heart's War.
Heart's War is better than Kevin Hart. That's a deeper poll, dude.
Yeah.
Heart's War is
Heart's War.
What
With
is
Bruce
Heart's
Willis.
War?
It's
Oh, it's a
Bruce Willis
movie?
movie. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen it,
Forgettable.
but it sounds like a forgettable movie. That's your favorite.
It's a movie that we would have seen probably, but I don't know why we didn't.
when did it come out?
Like in 2001 or some shit.
Yeah, we probably didn't see it because like we saw
2002. That was
fucking-
prime soldier-loving Alex years that came out for sure.
Yeah.
Me wanting to be a post 9/11 in fourth grade, being like, I should be in the army. That'd be so sick.
I'm gonna find Osama myself.
Yeah, dude, because I bought in the propaganda, man. Because I didn't realize that the real enemy was Jorge Bush, dude. George Bush.
He is, man. Jorge Bush.
Yeah,
Jr.
Jorge
Yeah.
Jorge Bush.
Dude,
Yeah,
Mary
man.
J. Bush.
Yeah,
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Bush.
Jr. Yeah, dude. Mary J. Blige Bush, hyphenated. That's who he got married to after he divorced Caitlyn Bush.
Yeah, hell
Is that
yeah,
his
man.
wife?
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
Caitlyn Bush Tree. Yeah.
Kate, and then he got married to Kate Bush.
Yeah,
He got
he
married to
married
the
Bush, yeah.
to the band Bush.
Yeah,
Gavin
That's
Rossdale.
when they
Rossdale
started the
Bush.
band Bush.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who she
Well,
is, but
George
she.
Bush Jr. is Gavin Rossdale's son.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's like.
And George Bush Sr. is Gavin
And then they started
Rossdale's
What
son.
brewing-
about Bush Light?
Yeah, they started
Legal
brewing
Guardian.
Bush beer and Bush Light beer.
Bush Guard.
They're all connected.
Sick fold over sock, so it's stylized like an ankle sock. Yeah, that's
Fold over,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah, look at that.
Nice.
That actually looks pretty
Styling, boy.
cool. That's actually
Extra
kinda cool.
mileage out of those like that.
I
You really
respect
could
that.
you could repurpose your socks like that and maybe not look like a psycho, but otherwise all the holes and gray dirt and accumulation of shit particles.
Get those socks
Oh,
off.
you
Let's see those fucking toenails back.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, come
Let's go
on,
back
give
to
it
those
them
toenails.
bunions, corns, toenails. Yeah.
Why don't you rub my corns there, fellas? Yeah.
Let's see that other one. Give it to him. Yeah, work that bunion.
This one doesn't have a corn.
Yeah, Jason's feet look a lot healthier than Alex's.
My feet are so much sicker
Yeah,
than
he's got,
Alex.
Jason's got the sandal tan
Yeah, I
line.
have a
Yeah.
yeah my sandal. tan
Therefore,
line.
they're much.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so hip.
Alex's feet have scabs on them.
My knockoff Crocs.
Oh, sick.
My knockoff Crocs actually. I had
Cut
to
your
throw
feet
them. I had to
open?
throw them away.
Oh, the ones that don't fit your shoe.
Yeah.
Well, you still have a regular. You have a regular pair of Crocs.
Yeah, I
you
have
can
a
wear
regular
that do
pair of
fit
Crocs,
your
but
feet.
yeah, my Walmart knockoff ones I had to throw away because they had like giant holes in the back and I like stepped on a piece of glass. I don't have a mark. I don't have a mark anymore, but I definitely had a
Did you
mark.
scream when you stepped on it?
I was like, I was like, I think something happened, but I don't know. And I had to stop, and there was like a piece of glass.
Did you think
sticking out of
somebody
my-
shot you in the
But dude,
heel of
but,
your foot?
But what I'm saying is that fucking if I didn't have these like hard corns, dude, I wouldn't have. it would have gone into my foot and caused an infection.
How do you know?
I don't know. I definitely have like a piece of glass in my foot from years ago that I never removed.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
I mean, I don't know. It's in there
No, it's
somewhere.
not.
But I definitely stepped
Dude,
on a
your
piece of
body,
glass
your stomach,
years ago.
your stomach acids lead to your feet and
And
dissolve
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just like I have stomach acid in my veins instead of blood. I live off
I have
acid.
foot digestional problems.
I like the idea of like your Crocs having like this bacteria that came to life, and it's just like, please put me out of my misery. The shoes
Yeah.
are just like, please
I had to
kill
listen
me.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
I'm
like,
sorry,
all right.
guys, but I need you.
You burn your shoes. They're like, please, we can't do it anymore. Please.
Yeah, dude. The fucking,
Alex's shirt might be saying that same thing to you too, right? That Candiria shirt. Their band is about to call you and be like, "Bro, you need to take a shower next time before you put this on and wash it 8 times."
You guys are cruel.
It
Man.
just smells like red. Bro, if I
It
smell
does.
red pepper flakes from here, dude, come on.
Well, that's because I use spices on my food.
That's because I use spices on my armpits. My armpits.
Yeah, remember armpit from Holes, dude?
Yeah.
Armpit.
Armpit.
I remember that one.
Remember Armpit from Twisted Metal Black 2?
Yeah, dude.
Anyway,
Yeah, remember I was telling Jason the other day about the guy from Twisted Metal Black that got chemtrailed. Remember?
No.
Remember he was like
I believe that,
he was on the
though.
cornfield and he got chemtrailed.
I
And he got all
don't know.
mutated. His
I
name was
barely remember
Junkyard Dog.
that was the car.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not his name. That's the
Yeah,
car
but that's
he
the guy's
drove.
That's
name.
a character.
Yeah, his name was Manfred Mann, dude, or some shit like that.
I looked at it the other day. I forgot
Yeah.
what it was, but I have Twisted
Yeah,
Metal
dude.
Black. So
Yeah,
I
'cause you're
looked.
Junkyard
That game is
Cat,
really
dude.
hard to play, though, dude. It's not an easy
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, the aiming is hard.
It sucks.
Yeah,
it's so
it's
hard to win,
not
and all
easy.
the cars take like 8 years to take one down. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he keeps
Shouldn't
getting
be
health
like
pickups
that.
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, not right.
But anyway.
Billy Ray Stillwell.
Yeah, there we go. That's Junkyard Dog.
Oh,
dude.
cool. Yeah.
He got
check,
chemtrailed. He got all fucked up.
Billy Ray. Oh, Billy Ray got
He's got-
chemtrailed.
yeah, he looks like a burn victim.
got
with the,
Stillwell.
Yeah, dude. He's like, oh.
I used to play Junkyard Dog. Twisted Metal
3?
Black.
That's the one,
He's
yeah.
in Twisted
Yeah.
Metal
Yeah.
Black.
Wait. Oh no. Yeah, that's the name of the thing, right? Wait, no.
Yeah,
it's the name of
What
the
was the
game.
one I used to play?
Jason, you know what I would love to do with you is marathon Junkyard Wars with you, man. That show was so sick, and I would love to marathon it with you in a hotel room from
Nah, man,
8 to 10
I'd rather watch
before we have to
Bar
leave.
Just 2
Rescue,
hours?
dude.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Well, yeah, we have to leave the hotel to go to the next show. We have to leave by 10, you know what I'm
What's the
saying?
one?
And you're getting a bang from the gas station.
Yeah,
Max is taking a
and
shower.
taking a shower. Yeah, because I
Tim's
already
still
took
asleep.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim's still asleep. Yeah,
Tim's still asleep, and me and Jace are just hanging out, probably drinking van
Yeah.
beers, watching Junkyard War.
in the morning. Yeah,
Man, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, 8:30. That actually does sound like a good
Oh,
time.
dude, that sounds like one of the. I want to. Let's fast forward to that right now.
Yeah.
Wow, they're really gonna build that shit out of that? Fucking idiots. Anyway.
All right. Well, we're here to
let's
talk about.
Painted Heart. Another
yeah,
bit.
we're here to talk about.
I always start every episode with just a huge tangent.
We gotta do a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
you
little
gotta
bit,
some
yeah.
bit.
We gotta show
Gotta-
people that we're versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. All right, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all
We can
good.
actually start talking about it now.
Yeah, we have the final song on the Grove on Sundial. Painted Heart.
It's a Grove,
In reference
Grove
to the
Sunday.
final song on Essence of the Land, Tainted Heart. Oh, what happened? A
And
negative word was replaced with a slightly more convoluted word? Explain.
I'm looking.
Wow,
Good
makes a lot of
explanation.
sense.
I'm
I
looking
get it now.
forward to the mashup of the two, which is going to be called Painted Taint.
Yeah, painted shark. Yeah, painted taint. Yeah.
Painted shard.
Painted shark.
Oh, shit myself.
Uh-oh.
I think I've gone and shit myself.
Oh no! Oh hell! I've gone and shit myself. Anyway,
Yeah, this song fucking rules. I love this song. It's probably like,
it's my favorite song on the record. I think.
yeah, I'd say it's lyrically, it's
It was really
definitely
good.
the most personal song to me. But I also like, I'm kind of glad that we took some time to do these, so it gave me more time to think about how to talk about this song, because I think I have more of like a contextual sense of doing it. Because this song, I will say off the bat, I've already had like the most questions about with the lyrics, at least as far as people being interested in them at all so far since the record's been out. But I love this song. It's just like, it's easily just like the end of this record. Like by the time the song was done and all the transformation it had gone through, I think by the time we were had the finished product, we quickly came to the decision it would be the ending of Sundial.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's honestly
So,
the perfect
yeah.
ending. I don't see how you couldn't
Yeah,
have
I
this
mean,
end the album. It's so
yeah, lyrically
perfect.
and then musically, it's like that. It sums
Yeah,
it
just-
up.
but musically, we should probably talk about that because it did not start
Yeah.
as the most fucking
yeah. So yeah, I mean,
clear ending.
I still think it's sick. But I would love to play the clip of the old ending here because it was like kind of sick. But it definitely, I'm very glad that you guys shot it down because it's way better the way it is now. But it was still a fucking awesome riff. But yeah, so like it was everything up until like the fucking the digga 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 da digga 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 da digga 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 da, like that was all written, and then it just right at the end of that spot it cut hard, and then it just goes into this like even faster part. That's like a riff thing with like verses, and then it would be like a Hangar 18 style
Yeah.
solo trade off thing. or something like that. Which
Not a good aesthetic
could have
for
been
Warforged.
that could have been reworked, but the riff was really good.
I think the riff just didn't sound like our band at all. Boom. It sounded like Goron to me. That's the first thing I heard of.
Probably the
last time I heard it was like when you sent the demo.
Yeah, I don't even remember this.
Yeah, like
I was so mad you guys hated it, but
I hated it. I remember exactly where I was when you sent it. I was on my way to Adam T's from Bow Voice and Thieves. Shout out Adam, to hang out, and I was at the Thornton's gas station on motherfucking Barrington Road, right out in Schaumburg, and you had sent over the demo, and I had put it on and started listening to it, and I was just like, I didn't finish the song because I went to get gas. So I listened to the first half of the song and I was just like, fuck, this is awesome. And I was like so enamored by it. And then I got back in the car after like getting gas, and the song picked up again, and it started like, I guess I had gotten up to that middle section, and for a minute I was like, is this even the same song I'm listening to? Like, I thought maybe I had accidentally pressed on a different song like on the Google Drive app in my phone, because maybe I just threw it in my pocket, but then I realized it was the same track still, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Because yeah, it had like this like weird kind of like vibe to it that just didn't sound very contemporary to it, like as far as the beginning of the song did, and I think it made it contrast even more. And I was just like, I don't understand. I right off the bat I was just like, yeah, this is like totally just like kills the entire momentum that the song built up so far. I mean, I kind of got what you were going for as far as like taking that Warforged moody aesthetic and trying to bring something else into it, but like a Megadeth Hangar 18 style, which is like, you know, nobody in Warforged in the past fucked with thrash metal. Like,
I mean, we all love Megadeth except you.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think
when
we
is that
all
ever-
of us did, didn't we?
yeah.
Except you.
what do you mean?
But like the
We all
band
fucked with
hasn't.
thrash
no,
metal.
matched that
I'm
sound.
not talking about in the
it's not
past.
a-
Sure,
it's not a sound band has,
I
so.
don't hate Megadeth.
Yeah, but this whole thing
Oh,
is
you mean
about
like-
breaking down barriers and experimenting with what we love.
But I think the thing is the original one. It's like it hits that peak where it does currently, and then it kind of simmers
it's
down and goes to the ending.
100% not as good.
It doesn't go anywhere from there. It was trying to like the way it ended up being on the album just works so much better, where it plays with all those things from the beginning versus going to this completely new thing that didn't really have any ground in the rest of the song.
Yeah, and that was also the weirder part of it too, was because like that song moved so much with what you had there, and then it continued to move with the other part just in a different direction, to the point where it was like I didn't even know where the song would go from there. Or I guess not that I was really concerned about that, but yeah, it just didn't make any sense, and that's when I kind of like brought it up in the chat, because that's the first time I was just like, yeah, this is something that like I want to talk about, because I just don't think it sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because it's like the ending is probably like my favorite part of the record. Honestly, I think it's like,
for real.
I think the chord progression at the end is like really like it's like triumphant, but it's also sad. It's really sick.
Yeah.
It's a really good
definitely,
like it's a really good it's like the chord that down, no, 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 no. You're like, okay, where's this going? Then it goes down, no, no, no. You're like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Down, no, 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 no. Down, no, no, no. You're like, whoa.
Yeah,
Where'd that come from?
It
That's
kind of doesn't
sad.
know what it wants, which I think is it's a
I
cool
love
way to
that,
kind of.
yeah.
It's an uneasy ending, but it's also it's triumphant, uneasy, melancholy, and all those things to me. And I think it just ends the album in such a good way, where it's kind of like, what's going on?
Really, it sounds like a sunset. When
It
I
does,
listen
yeah.
to it, it sounds
Yeah,
like a
definitely.
sunset, that ending.
Especially
and
the
I
way
think
it fades
that
out
like
and shit. Yeah.
the way like the first, I remember like I had brought it up that I thought it sounded too different, and I remember Jace got back. Jace was the second person to respond and said the same thing. He was just like, yeah, it just sounds like
Two different
Jason
songs.
suggested going off of starting 2 songs. I don't know if you remember.
I don't
but
remember
you in our
saying this.
band chat recommended, you were like,
The original
I would be
version,
more
yeah.
interested in hearing like both of those songs written on their own. Because I would also agree that I think that second part would make way more.
I gotta
context.
re-listen to this because I
Contextual
haven't
sense of
even
it
like
adds
I can't even
something
like picture in
Yeah.
my mind what it sounded like.
So,
now.
but it was
it's been a
and then
while.
I remember the next draft that Alex had sent maybe a week later. It was some time. You took some time with it for
It
sure.
was way long. It was like I sat on that for like a month or two, I think. And
Oh,
then,
really?
Yeah, it was after. It was the ending.
'cause-
The ending was post COVID for sure.
Maybe
Once
you
I
sent-
was
maybe
living
you
high
sent
off
some
Place
shit
That Breaks Your
before that.
Bones, I did
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
And then it was like it took like maybe a
Yeah,
month
dude,
or
and
two.
hearing that, the way that song, what it turned into to kind of this like really ebb and flow part with the end, as far as like that clean build up section into that big finale finish, was just like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
it was like. Because I was worried that I had maybe like shat on your confidence by being like, I don't think this part is it, and I was nervous that I thought I may have discouraged you
Well,
by
you did,
like,
but that's not a big deal.
yeah,
You're supposed
well,
to do
I
that.
didn't. Yeah, it was just like I didn't want you to question your entire belief, because like the way you sent it, when you sent it back, it was just like you hit all the check marks immediately. It was like, oh my fucking god, this song like introduces new elements to the melodic songs we haven't had happen in any of them yet. Like that whole like, I don't know, the first time I had heard the demo, that big like quiet section before the big like that build up, it just reminded me of like post rock shit, like good post rock shit. And I thought that was a cool element to just have there, because it's like, yeah, this really like lets this song breathe, you know. And because it's got all these like, you know, it starts out with that vibe, but it takes you on more of a distorted adventure, which is cool, but then it kind of
A lot of
rounds itself out.
there was a lot of like fucking, because there was something that we wrote at the lake house that like I was like trying to use that as the acoustic part for the end, and it wasn't working. It was some weird like 5/4 or 7/4 that kind of just didn't feel like, it felt like a little awkward. But even though it's a cool riff, I can't remember. But then you wrote that transition thing.
That's right. I did. I forgot.
Yeah. Right before it goes into the piano thing, and then I kind of went from there. I can't remember how I was trying to remember the song the other day, because I knew we were going to do this. I was trying to remember what song, because it's like this, when that piano part comes in, it's kind of this like, the root notes are like kind of chromatic and weird. And I was trying to think for the fucking life of me what that was, what I had listened to. I was like, oh, that's a cool idea for like, I love like, you know, the chromatic chord progressions where it's like the root's chromatic, but like all the shit on top of it like kind of makes sense. And it's like this silly, like, you know, like the Beatles chord progressions where it's like,
like
the
walking down.
chromatic
Yeah,
descending, but this is ascending.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of shit where it's like I wanted to do something like that. I was like, oh, let me just fuck around. And I think oh man, it was like forever to fucking figure out what that was. And then finally it was like, all right, well, this is it. And then it morphed into that. But that was it's a nice little journey. This song probably had like the biggest journey.
Yeah, I would say the
musically,
completion journey,
as-
just because it
yeah.
was like, I mean, it's hard when you're in a band that like is trying to introduce new elements to your music, and you have this opportunity to do it. I think there's kind of like a fine line. Like, it's exactly like what just happened there. Like, you bring up, you're like, well, you don't like Megadeth. It's like, yeah, but once you think about it, and you got to think about it in a different context, where it's sort of like you are in a position now where you're in a band and people do hold certain expectations to what you're going to do. Granted that obviously we don't really give a fuck about any of them, but I definitely think there's a certain, like, in order to write good music that's, you know, true to the band, I think there's a certain level of consideration you got to think about, like, when you're rounding out everything, as far as like if this is going to be like another part of this record that's going to contribute something different to it. Like, it's always cool to explore with newer elements, but it's also like makes you question a lot of shit. Like, there's a ton of parts that I think now looking back on it, maybe coming at them at different moments in our career, like there's so much shit on this record that I wonder if any of us would ever have even like considered in the past when it came to just
Right. I want you to finish your point. It is interesting, yeah.
when it came to because it's just very interesting, because there's a really fine line with that, and I think it's once you're kind of at the helm, it's very easy to just be like, oh my God, you know, and a position like our band as well, once you have somebody that's a primary songwriter leave and it's kind of like everybody takes the reins, it's easy to lose the discipline with that, I think, sometimes. And I think Alex just did a really good. I mean, I think everybody did a good job of really adapting the newer elements into Warforged for being what it is as a band, and it kind of like. I think that in itself is what it's what's going to lend everybody. It's going to lend to everybody just kind of. I don't know, maybe introducing more crazier elements in the future, you know. But I think. Disciplining yourself to a certain degree definitely has to happen because sometimes it's just easy to run wild with shit, and it's hard, you know. It's really hard, and it's hard because it involves communication with your band. It's hard because it involves communication with your bandmates, and sometimes it's a hard thing to do when somebody's really excited. Like,
well, it's one thing to shoot down an idea if someone's like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this middle, and you're like, yeah, what about this?
Yeah.
Okay, but if someone's like, I love this, and you're like, well, I hate it, you know. It's like, that's like, all right, we got to figure this out, you know.
Right,
and that's a learning exercise that, you know, I think over time you get better at that with a group of people, but it's always, you know,
it's a challenge.
Never know.
Yeah, it's a challenge when you write music as a group. I mean, and it just gets more. I think it gets more difficult the older you get and the further into your career you get, probably to a certain degree, but it also could not. You know what I mean? Like it's very.
I mean, we had like a sound we wanted, like, I don't know. Voice had a sound, we didn't want to disrespect that, but at the same time we wanted to do new stuff. So it's like we kind of had the opening to try shit versus like, oh, we're 10 albums in,
right,
and we have this sound we kind of have to do where people can be like, what the fuck's wrong with you, you know? So.
Right, because I think all over the record too, there's probably a lot of musical moments that people might consider were a lot more of a stretch for us than they actually were when we were writing them. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably a lot of elements where people were like, whoa, I never expected that. And it's like, oh, we were actually going for this vibe, which you've heard before, you know? That could have been the intention. But, you know, it's interesting because once, you know, the record came out, everybody's got certain interpretations of what's what, but
I think that heavy section in the middle before it hits the clean break, like there's a lot of like, that's got a very color my memory kind of vibe to it. A lot of voice, like big aggression, time. Machine gun kind of stuff going on, which I think is very sick. And I don't think that was intentional, but it turned out that way.
It's so funny because once I heard, because I thought it was intentional. Like, I thought Alex was kind of doing this thing to kind of like pay tribute to like, hey, this is kind of like, you know, a reflection of like, you know, we're kind of harking back to some of our older style here and giving you something of what the finale was last time. And it kind of inspired me to go down that Painted Heart route because I had heard that all those, you know, all like the heavier sections in the middle of the song. And that's kind of what inspired me to do the Painted Heart thing, because I was like, I really like how this is kind of like, you know, an update almost. It's almost just like, hey, you know, when you hear a band revisit something slightly, like I thought that was your intention with that middle part.
It was just because it was written on a 6-string, and it's just in C, and it was just an accident. It was like, oh, I guess it does kind of sound like that.
I definitely wrote my drum parts to be more like Color of My Memory during those sections after I had heard how similar it sounded, because I thought it would be cool. So there's like similar patterns with the China and like the kicks and whatnot, but it's still, you know, different because it matches the rhythm to this song. But it was cool to kind of like feel like that same way I felt at the end of Voice, but on an entirely different side of things, because it's literally like, I don't know, it's just like it kind of ties it just another reason why I think the song made sense is like the perfect ending for this record, because it kind of encapsulates so much of what this album says, but it's also like lyrically, it's probably, I don't know, it's a very powerful song for me, and it's like, I don't know, it's just interesting. It's a good one though, and I really like how big the ending sounds. It almost reminded me, I think the first time I heard it, it kind of reminded me of the ending of No Land Man being kind of like this big, slower, kind of like open chord type jamming section. And I really like how that's kind of become a thing, because those parts are really fun to play, but also at the same time, I think it's really easy to be, it's really cool. You could be very expressive in sections like that. So hearing this song kind of have that type of ending now, I just think like, it's almost like the way it felt like it felt like so much more resolved compared to hearing No Land Man in the context of the song. So Yeah, I ended up writing the lyrics about a shit ton of different things that had like, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place lyrically. I think ultimately though, like the main theme is like communication and communication breakdown and the nature of human relationships. I think the song illustrates that a lot of relationships are based on, whether they're friendships or romantic relationships or partnerships in a band or friendships, I think obviously they're all based on communication, and usually when there's issues with any of those things, a lot of them tend to be communication issues or breakdowns or misunderstandings. And I think when you strip down the language of a lot of arguments, you strip down a lot of like the meaning behind a lot of them, you look kind of at what the pure emotion is behind of it. It's always kind of like this. It's this like either the, I don't know, I feel like a lot of it goes down to this human instinct to feel like you want to be understood, to feel like you're looking for that feeling of understanding on any element. And I'd say that the biggest way that ties into this song is Adrian leaving our band, which is pretty much what the end of the song kind of describes. I mean, the song in a nutshell lyrically is like pretty much about my life during the pandemic and a lot of the changes I tried to make for myself. By going to like therapy and getting on some anti-anxiety meds to control my crazy fucking anxiety. Crazy pills. And yeah, it's just sort of like that song was sort of about how Adrian left the band. And Adrian left the band, for people, not that we're like broadcasting it here, but he just really wasn't into the idea of doing a band anymore, music live or writing music or creating. And I think the very end lyrics of the song are pretty much just illustrate the fact that we're all kind of, the four of us all still really wanted to do this thing and keep it going and see how far we could take it. And we've been ready to do that when, the person who was leading the band before wasn't on that same page. So this song is kind of it serves as sort of an element of like trying to understand, it was sort of like, I understand a lot where Adrian came from when he didn't want to do it anymore. And I think it kind of created the vibes in those verses where it's just like, I know that weight that he felt on him probably making that decision and just how much the band had meant to him in the past, and how big of a presence it was in his life in the past. And obviously it's not a easy decision to come to, so the song kind of serves as, those verses definitely serve as a purpose for trying to find that understanding, or just be like, hey, I'm trying to communicate the fact that I know it feels like a huge fucking weight for somebody in that position, because I don't think anybody in this band would want anybody to feel that way, at least against their their own will. So ultimately it really was for the best. And the song was definitely a hard one to write, but I wrote it lyrically, and it kind of follows this passage of communication and understanding and kind of coming to this reach where it's sort of like, sometimes people change, sometimes people's, directions in life change, and, you got to really remember that life doesn't fucking, it's not going to be the same thing all the time. It's not always going to be the same, and constants change, sometimes when you least fucking expect it to. And I think it's ultimately, at the end of the day, a song kind of about redemption for this band, and it kind of embodies the entire vibe of the Grove, kind of being like, the four of us really wanted to take this band and make it our own thing again, and make it be something that we could really call our own unique stamp on whatever fucking community and metal we end up belonging to at the end of the day. And I think being able to embody that as the closing message of the album was a really cool way to deliver at home. And the final lyrics, not poisoned and not blind, kind of are a reflection of at least where I felt mentally about creating and going forward with this band in the future, because once we kind of got to this point where we were really in this process where I could see that the four of us were capable of writing awesome songs again and coming together and really getting shit done again, it felt like a fucking huge victory. It still feels like a huge victory. So having that outlook of being able to go forward and have that confidence of being like, I know that while all of us are still here doing it, we could still fuck shit up as hard as we want to. It's just fucking a really cool feeling to have. And I think that not poison, not blind lyric at the end kind of signifies that it's sort of like we have some more confidence here, and we know that we could get through some of that harder shit. And it's kind of cool to do that. It was kind of cool because I wanted it to be like this whole thing where it's like, if you've been around since the fucking beginning and you even know Tainted Heart or listen to it at the end of that EP, which kind of gets ignored sometimes,
Listen to it probably like twice
this
in my
is,
life being in the band.
Yeah, right? Like, this is definitely a little ode to that. And there already has been some people that have listened to it that have made that connection. So it's been cool to kind of see that. But yeah, I think lyrically the song is one of the most complex on the entire record as far as just like subject matter and how personal I could get with it. So felt pretty good. It definitely opened some doors for me to feel a little bit more comfortable expressing things. And I don't know, it just felt cool to write a fucking song about like that felt like it was bringing our band into the present. It's almost like the story of our last 2 years of being dormant since the pandemic kind of hit and us not really moving along. While we got to watch a lot of our friends' bands move along at different paces, but still, I think a lot of us, at least, at one point or another, definitely felt the need to, or the want to be doing that more in that time. And it was hard. It was hard for me, Yeah,
I mean, we were just kind of picking up steam, and then everything just stopped, and it's like, we didn't get a chance to do all the shit we wanted to do, and, we got back together, and we were going to jam, and then Adrian didn't want to do it. It's like, well, we all want to run, so let's fucking do it,
Yeah. And we did, and it's out, and you've already heard it probably a bunch now, which is pretty fucking crazy that we were able to do it like that. So, oh man, it's definitely feels like the next logical step was like checked off, and now, it just feels like the path is laid before us, and now we're just gonna fucking do some crazy ass shit.
Path is laid before us. What are you, Jamie Josta?
I am, man. All ships raised with high tides, coffee, death metal, and push-ups, and destroy everything.
Yeah, dude.
Destroy everything.
I think the lyrics just go really well with the song in a sense that the song does have this epic grandioseness to it, and the lyrics, I think, embody that really well. They go really well together.
It's a journey for sure.
It is,
lyrically, and
lyrically and song and musically. I think it's
and that's something you wanted
sick
with the song. I remembered you had mentioned that you wanted this kind of like journey type passage for like that song.
I was driving and I just had this like, I was listening to the song. I was driving during like a sunset, and I was like, damn, this is like a sick outro, and this song, like, it takes you on a journey, and I like experienced it when I was driving, and I was like, damn. Because I remember I had some lyric ideas, and obviously I'm glad that didn't happen because I don't know what the fuck I was doing. But I'm glad it didn't. And yours are far superior. But yeah, it's like I think what you did worked out with what I was thinking in my head without being able to like, fully communicate it, So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for trusting with me with those two. That ruled. So
yeah. Do you guys remember in the demo version? Maybe we can put a clip of this in here too.
The sour note.
Yeah.
The solo note. I remember because we were tracking. We tracked.
This doesn't sound right when it's in tune.
We microphoned my dog's stomach up for the.
That too.
The clean that like tom that boom 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 like tom build up that's layered before like the ending of the song. That's also layered with us smacking my dog's belly on the ground, which was very sick. But I remember we were listening to that section a bunch when we tracked my dog and when we tracked the drums, and I remember there was like multiple times where we kept listening to that part over and over, and each time Alex would air guitar the sour note, but it would like you would get it like crazier with each time, like you would like break the guitar in half and you go like it was really sick.
I haven't heard that sound. I don't even remember it being that bad until you guys brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's like
it's another awesome lead though that stuck.
Was okay.
Didn't that lead stay the same for the final version?
The
very
solo
cool
too.
solo. Yeah,
the solo was another one. Alex had wrote it, and he did it with like a keyboard patch, and he wrote it in MIDI, and it was like, let's just use that solo. I changed like a few things with it just to make it a little easier to play. If we ever do it live, I didn't want to fuck it up, so I thought I'd make it a little easier for me to play. But yeah, that solo kicks ass. A lot of cool shit in there, and it was just like, I don't know what I'd do differently. I can't make it better, so I just fucking played Alex's solo, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If we ever play the song live, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to do those vocals over that fucking bass line at the beginning. I fucked myself with that shit.
I'll sing it, dude.
Okay.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you could.
Nope.
You could do a Jared Klein, man.
Yeah, no way.
Let's do it. I'll fucking do it.
Oh fuck! I wanted to say something about this one.
The first show, you like try to play it like and do the vocals. You're like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Fold immediately.
And it ended up kind of the heart ended up being like the centerpiece on the album cover on the top of the head. There, that's like that big heart represents the idea of being heart and like, you know. I don't know. I hope that people can listen to this song and like relate to it in the sense that if you have somebody in your life that you love and you really wish that like you could understand them better, but sometimes like you don't know what the best way to do that is, like this song is for you, because that I understand how fucking difficult that could be sometimes. But you also got to remember that it's not on you to understand it all of the time. And I think if you kind of illustrate to that person that you still care about them and love them, even if you don't understand where their head space might be, or maybe how hard certain things are for them at that time, like, you know, think about that, because I think that's something that
that's a Jerry Springer final thought.
Yeah,
dude.
that's my Jerry Springer final thought, because I think that's really the true sentiment of this song at the end of the day, because I feel it in my relationships, I feel it in my romantic relationship with my girlfriend, I feel it with my parents sometimes, like I feel it with a lot of people in my life, and it was cool to finally kind of get that out on paper, and kind of it was a very therapeutic process in a way. So
it's actually good advice for people that are on Jerry Springer if they're real.
Yeah, but anyway,
it's like you gotta,
if you find yourself in that position, listen to this song and, you know, try to remember that, you know. So that's my final thought. My final thought.
Yeah.
Those are balls.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to communicate sometimes. It's hard to understand each other when you want to sometimes.
Yeah. True.
That's why I communicate in my house by throwing bowls of oatmeal and shit. I'm like, bowls of oatmeal. No, nothing gets a point across like a fucking oatmeal just fucking sliding down.
Alex, what are these dinosaur egg oatmeal packets doing in my pillowcase?
Those are the shit.
Dinosaur
egg oatmeal?
Yeah, bro, you can still get it, man.
I know.
You should get some.
Classic.
Dinosaur egg oatmeal in my pillow.
That's really what this song is about. Dinosaur egg oatmeal.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. You have a lot of meaningful things to say.
This podcast has actually been sponsored by
brought to you by
Dinosaur egg oatmeal.
Keebler or something?
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats, yeah.
They make it.
Keebler oatmeal.
They do Quaker Oats, dude.
Yeah.
There's also like zoo animal eggs.
Oh.
Which is basically the same thing. By Quaker Oats as well.
Like giraffe eggs and shit.
I think Quaker Oats probably has a stranglehold on the oatmeal market.
They lay eggs, right?
They do have a pretty good oatmeal stranglehold on the oatmeal market.
Kind of got a monopoly on that.
Stranglehold on the oatmeal market.
The invisible hand. They have an invisible hand.
Yeah. That's what stranglehold's about, dude.
Yeah.
That fucking Quaker Oats in all the fucking stores. I want some raw this shit.
I want to have some dinosaur eggs, baby.
That's a great.
I'm like a dog in heat.
That's a great oatmeal song, by the way. That's a
good
oatmeal. Good oatmeal eating
Listen
song.
to that
dude.
while eating oatmeal.
Yeah. I got no peanut butter.
Steel cuts, baby.
Peanut
Peanut butter Jerry curl. You know what I mean. What? You just said peanut butter Jerry curl. It didn't mean anything. You said peanut butter Jerry curl, dude. Dude, are you high? You just said peanut butter Jerry curl, dude. Are you high?
Or you fucking
bitch.
You fucked up right now.
You fucking put peanut butter Jerry curls in my shit.
In my shit.
Bitch.
Excuse me, bitch. I went to take a shit and then I came back and I saw you put peanut butter Jerry curls on top of my shit. Can you fucking like wipe my ass for me, bitch? And then flush, bitch.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the Grove Sundle.
Yeah, thanks for listening to this record.
Grove Sundle.
Sundle.
No, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is a very different process than the last album. So to hear people dig it means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and if people don't fucking understand, I'm laying this out here right now. The Grove is the era of the band. Sundial is this record. So, think of it that way.
Hint!
Load, reload, maybe? I don't know.
Think of it that way.
Yeah, it's just kind of like our load, reload, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess we'll see.
Think of it like that.
Get ready for Fixer, for Fuel.
Yeah.
Fucking Prince Charming. We already did Mama Said.
No, dude, Mama Said's on.
Wait, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about anything right now.
The song with the troll chick or whatever.
Mama Said's on Load.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like Mama Said is on the next record.
I know. He's got a song to allude it to.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Bye, guys.
Yeah, okay, let's all close it out. Let's take off our things and wrap our things and go.
Max, you sound like a barge, like a boat.
Yeah. I can't even get my voice out. Yeah, the screen there. Insert a clip of that here. Yeah. Insert a clip of the screen clipping, audio clipping. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.